Let me ask you a quick question, which has to do with whether you see this distinction between cells and lone wolf attacks. Cell being Paris, lone wolf being something like San Bernardino. Are there ways to stop lone wolf attacks if, for example, conversations about an attack are actually taking place over dinner in an apartment like it was in San Bernardino?
Sure, you can reduce their likelihood. You can reduce the likelihood that even if attempted, even if successful, the number of fatalities is reduced. But I agree totally. You know, this is below a threshold at which you can have any realistic expectations that your law enforcement or security services can get this to zero. These kinds of things will continue to happen. I think they're accelerated, Dina, by what we see in the Middle East. You've got the inspiration coming out of ISIS that's acting like the hand of God carrying out the will of God, and a narrative that is genuinely underpinned by their battlefield successes. So as we were talking in our discussion a few minutes ago, in addition to whatever tightening we might be comfortable with, and there is tightening we will not be comfortable with and should not do, but whatever tightening we might be comfortable with here, I use the phrase in the goal mouth, between the 18-yard line and the goal, we need to kick the ball upfield. We need to get the ball up in the offensive zone. Rather than restructuring our society because of this danger, let's do a little reconstruction out there. All right? And this is a case where the physical destruction of the kinetic fight actually has a powerful ideological impact. Very often in my life experience, kinetic success carries with it ideological burdens. It might actually make the long, deep fight a little harder to do. But in this case, I actually see convergence. Imposing battlefield defeats on these folks undercuts their theological underpinning. And therefore, you get a victory not just tactically, but strategically. One additional comment. I totally agree with the analysis that what happened in San Bernardino was kind of what we were expecting from ISIS. Kind of the Charlie Hebdo level, maybe Charlie Hebdo plus. Paris was a little surprising, or at least surprising to me. It showed a growth in ISIS ambition and sophistication and reach that was coming down at us, frankly, at a rate faster than I had anticipated. It was a bit more Al-Qaeda-like in that it was centrally directed and complex with multiple parts. Albeit Al-Qaeda light compared to what Al-Qaeda has done and would like to do. So in one sense, we now have to deal with both ends. The increasingly sophisticated, complex attack, which frankly we're better at stopping, and then the near spontaneous attacks, which actually might just be the cost of doing business.
I agree with General Hayden, though, on one point. Really on all those points, but the one I'd really underscore is that, this isn't just about defense, right? It's not just about defending against these attacks. The best defense here is a good offense. And the offensive strategy against ISIS, of course, is a subject for a whole nother program. So we're going to be focusing on the fact that when you're on offense, though, you still have to prevent these asymmetrical attacks by the enemy that wants to strike you in your homeland. And that's what they were able to do against the